Hare Krishna, Gauranga. So the next little realization coming from the chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita was this one from 1715. And what I thought was really nice here was this point about not agitating others by your speech, which is a very difficult thing to do, and of course it's a big subject matter in its own right, I guess, as it always is. Naturally these things are these, as I always mention with any of the points that I make, I do 10-minute videos or whatever it is, 20-minute videos, but these are seminars, these are day retreats, 3-4 days talking about these kind of things, so we're just trying to present overviews, little snippets of wisdom, because the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, this Vedic philosophy is vast, it's a lifetime's worth of study and dedication. So this chapter 17 is the divisions of faith, right? The different types of people in goodness, passion and ignorance, and their different levels of moods and their interrelations between each other, or sometimes their difficulty in relations with each other, I suppose. So here we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anuvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya bhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial and not agitating to others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literature. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of the students, but such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students if he will agitate their minds. This is penance as far as talking is concerned. Besides that, one should not talk nonsense. The process of speaking in spiritual circles is to say something upheld by the scriptures. One should at once quote from scriptural authority to back up what he is saying. At the same time, such talk should be very pleasurable to the ear. By such discussions, one may derive the highest benefit and elevate human society. There is a limitless stock of Vedic literature, and one should study this. This is called penance of speech. So the first thing here is that we should not agitate the minds of others. In that article by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Vaishnav Ninda, it spoke about the highest Vaishnav, and then it spoke about the kind of aspiring level Vaishnav. Then there's the religious-minded people. This is going down, by the way. And then there's just your ordinary jiva with no, spiritual connection or inspiration or anything like that, or seriously aspiration. For them, it's just going to bring you karma. If you offend them or you fight with them or cross swords with them in any way, shape or form, there's going to be that's just sinful, just winding them up, frying them out, If you obviously get into any kind of thing with the pure Vaishnav, the actual Vaishnav, then of course that's aparad, which is the thing that sweeps out all your devotional, all your stored potency, all your stored benefit in that sense. It can really flatten you on the path of devotion. Because it was called the Hati Mata. You can imagine a mad elephant, if it runs into your perfectly, kept garden with your nice rows of vegetables and your plants and beautiful flowers and so on and so forth. If it runs in, it would just trash everything. Or a bull in a china shop is another good example, right? If a bull goes off, roaring and snorting and jumping and kicking, the whole entire china shop is going to be wrecked in a minute, Very quickly as well. It's not even like, would it take him 10, 15, 20 minutes, 2-3 days to smell? No, it would be seconds. In seconds, the damage would be untold, in price and obviously to the harm to the people inside that shop, if there was anybody, so on and so forth. You could imagine just the wreck that would cause, So this is Vaishnava Aparad. Jiva Aparad, nonetheless we don't want to offend anybody for the protection of our own self. And it's a very carefully kept garden, or a very carefully kept creeper of devotional service, that we have to tend to it and look after it, and and make sure to grow it and not just kill it, or cause anything to wipe it out. I mean, there's one example. It's a bit it's a bit of a funny one, but you'll like this, I suppose, if you know about it. Is there's that famous cartoon Beauty and the Beast, and he has that rose that is the rose that's counting down his time scale to becoming a human again. Of course, we know that the Beast was a human prince who was very selfish, and when the old woman came to his castle asking for food and shelter and so on, he rejected her. He looked at her, some old hag of a witch or woman or whatever, and he thought, no, I don't want you in my castle. I'm a perfect, beautiful, handsome prince with all the lands and all the vassals and servants and so on and so forth. He said, forget it, I don't want you to be seen near me. So he had no compassion for her at all, and he said that your beauty will be taken away from you. So he ended up with that body of a beast, like a kind of, I don't know really what you could describe him as. He was a kind of almost like a bear/lion type thing, But the rose was, he kept it in this glass chamber, locked off in a secluded part of his castle, and it was, contained with a spell on it and so on and so forth. And it was constantly wilting, but he didn't want anybody to touch it, look at it, or affect it. So this is how carefully we have to look after our creeper of devotional service, the Bhakti Lata Bija, and it mentions a couple of people here that can actually give instruction. So naturally, when you're at school, one of your main instructors is a teachers. They're guiding us, and they're seen to be the people who have the knowledge of that subject matter. We're not saying that they're the overall authorities of multiple things. Naturally, if your maths teacher is parading himself around the classroom telling you all about history, you'd be kind of wondering, either he's in the wrong classroom or we're in the wrong classroom. You'd be thinking, okay, what's going on here? He's telling us about the Romans going up against the Celts in some battle or something, and he's saying, sir, we came here for maths, right? This is maths class. Yeah, but I also I'm the big authority. Never mind the history teacher, I'm the authority on history actually in this school. Oh, really? Okay, fair enough. So we have to take instruction from that person in the line that they're specifically the authority in their form of expertise. But the spiritual master, the Krishna conscious spiritual master, he's actually the authority overall, because he's expert in the most crucial and most vital thing, which is how you get out of this material world and go back to Godhead. And he knows through his connection to Krishna, he knows exactly what his disciple needs to free themselves, and he's able to guide you in according to your conditioning, according to your mindset, according to your background, and according to your future nature, which he also knows, but doesn't reveal straight away. So if you're not someone's teacher or guide, then there's a kind of thing that's understood that, well, maybe best not to agitate someone by getting too much into instructing them. It's usually the kind of general platform of when we're talking about Vaishnava Aparad, whether you understand it in the real sense, as it is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or you understand it in the general kind of, oh, that's Aparad Prabhu type ISKCON sense, where you just say, oh, you offended me, so that's Aparad, Even if you come from that platform, either way, it's kind of understood that it's best not to rattle someone's cage unless you are actually instructing them as either their mentor, senior devotee, or so on and so forth, and have some place in their life that they would take it from you, And of course, again, your speech should be with the point of view of, with compassion, with humility, with tolerance, and with the ability to present it in an appropriate way. Srila Prabhupada spoke many times about these things with the devotees in their preaching on the street. Certainly the highest level of book distribution is to be able to present from the books itself And when Prabhupada was asking devotees, there was a whole talks in the early days about what should we say. And one time Prabhupada asked the devotee, what did he say? And he told them that he started with a bit of a sales pitch, and so on and so forth, the kind of karmi sales pitch. Hey, you're a good-looking guy, or hey, you're a good-looking whatever. Come from that point of view. Oh, you look like a businessman, or you seem very clever. Come from that point of view, and then just quickly kind of present that we're just doing something for this thing, that thing, and get the book out. Prabhupada said, "That's what you say." He said, "Wow." Prabhupada said, quote from Shastra. So the higher level is to quote from the books themselves. Sell the books and the process of the. And of course, he also said by hook or by crook. So we know that. There's time, place, and circumstance in different places, and so on and so forth. Which that's another topic. I won't really get into that. But certainly, he kind of suggested that we shouldn't offend people, because he said you'll get into some speech if by your lack of intelligence or something you said, and they go off, you've been unable to sell the book to them, and they've lost out, because you were unable to present it to them in an appropriate way. So it does take a lot of self-discipline. In your speaking, because what comes out of your heart, will come out through your mouth, in that sense. Your mood and your burdens of your mind will come through your speech, So it's a devotee's purpose in life to become very pure, to become really deep, And going back to a point I made at a few talks, classes, whatever we want to call them back, and Radhanath Swami is saying, what is the point of the millions of books? If they come to this society of, we're all arguing and fighting amongst ourselves, what is the point of the prasadam distribution, or all the kirtans or all the different things, if we're filled with false ego, if we have no humility, no compassion, no tolerance, and so on and so forth. So we need spiritual depth, to actually speak nicely and speak with good character in a way that can influence people, So this is the penance. This is the penance of, as far as talking is concerned. To accept, an authority, a good authority, i.e., in this case, of course, the whole point of the Bhagavad Gita is a spiritual authority. Just as Arjuna accepted Krishna as his guru, we accept either Srila Prabhupada or one of his direct disciples or representatives as our guru. Whether it's Diksha, direct Diksha guru or Siksha guru, And then the other thing is the next austerity, because one thing that comes out about controlling speech is just to not speak at all. That's one aspect. You hear about Mauna Vrat or these Babas or Swamis or different people, yogis, who haven't spoken for thousands of years. No, not thousands of years, sorry. Spoken for several years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is. And certainly, of course, in the Vedic times is where I was saying thousands. Also, that was a concept, just to control the speech and the body senses for thousands of years, and in Satya Yuga and so on and so forth. That was the process of yogic meditation, for so many thousands of years. So not speaking, but that is not really the highest principle in Kali Yuga, where the chanting of the holy name is the thing that controls the speech. So speaking about Krishna Katha among the devotees or among like-minded people is what helps actually control the speech. We have to fill what comes out of the mouth with Krishna, and in that way, then we're not trying to falsely renounce. We're replacing it with something higher. This is the concept of Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekiha Kurunandana. That we cannot just let go. The lower nature just simply by saying, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. We have to replace it with something higher. Not Vishaya Vinivartante Niharashya Dehana Rasovajam Rasaprasya Param Drishva Nivartate. That we cannot let go we have to replace it with something. We have to put something in there. And that's what we say in Krishna courses. We're not letting stuff go. We're adding something into your life. This is the difference in comparison to many of the other processes of knowledge, religion, so on and so forth, is that we're adding something to what we do on a daily basis. And we're adding Krishna in the different forms, whether it's the chanting, whether it's the reading, whether it's the offerings, whether it's the daily worship, or whether it's through your family services. You're adding something into your life, And it's very rarely in life you can say that you've actually got something to add into what you have, not taking stuff away. It's like, okay, now you say, right, give up your phones at night, give up, what do you say, snoozing your alarm button. These are all the kind of things that you hear that go on. You know, we have to stop doing this. It's best that you don't do that. Don't eat this at this time. Don't do it. But say, no, add this. Add Krishna in here. Add Krishna at that point. Add Krishna at this point. You know, and then see what happens. You know, not take away, then shove Krishna in. By that time, your mind is so frazzled that you're just like, forget Krishna, forget anything else. I've been so pulled apart by having to renounce that I'm bent over, you know. And the next thing that comes, we always hear about this, is speaking from Shastra, quoting from the scriptures, you know. So that's the other thing. We should always back up what we're saying with scriptural authority, which is again is another austerity of speech. And it's interesting on this point, the nectar of instruction about the senior or pure Vaishnavas. This is what's one of their characteristics, is that they are. So it says here in Nectar of Instruction 5, near the end, it says, one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who has advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Now that doesn't mean that he's not going to give instruction. That doesn't mean that he's not going to give guidance, or he may even sometimes give some correction. But it's not from a critical nature. It's not coming from just to put you down or just to leave you feeling embarrassed and feeling, oh my God, I'm hopeless, whatever. It's just to actually lift you, right? The sadhu is that person who cuts. He cuts your material nature away, leaving you fresh and ready for Krishna causes, not leaving you exposed out in the cold with everything now whacking at you, with all the material energy just to wipe you out, He's leaving you in the prime position for flying in spiritual advancement, This is what it means to cut. So yeah, that point is covered all over the place, in the scriptures, is how to speak properly, how to actually really, reach people, because we hear that powerful sound, powerful speech, is a thing that can affect. We know from the opposite effect, like some of the things that some of the speeches in the world that's caused unbelievable atrocities to happen, when of course we know that Hitler, for example, to use one of the most prominent examples, Hitler was giving these speeches in front of thousands and thousands of the Nazis, or the local Germans, and people were flocking left, right and centre to come and join the SS hit squads, and to become one of the Nazi soldiers, and they nearly almost conquered the world just based on the power of speech. Che Guevara, I gave the example about his written word, but certainly their speaking capacity to empower their soldiers to fight for them. And we hear about these great generals, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, I'm trying to think of it, Caesar, Julius Caesar. He was able to inspire by his word, by his words. So what should we be able to do if we're quoting Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, if we're understanding what Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee of Krishna, has said? We should be able to certainly easily conquer our own minds, conquer our lower nature, and then speak nicely to our fellow, mankind, where we can all help each other and work together in bringing about a revolution in consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.